Thank you for joining me today. My name is Chris, and this is a short class designed to move through a few very basic yoga positions that you hear repeated a lot in yoga classes. It's a great class for beginners or for people who want to revisit some of those yoga basics or find different variations or modifications that work best for your body. If you'd like to set an intention for this class, if you hear that phrasing in a yoga class, it means deciding what you're hoping to focus on or get out of the class. For me, my goal is to set an intention of welcoming because I would like everyone to feel welcome doing yoga together. And other examples of intention could be kindness to yourself, forgiveness of yourself, kindness to others, or calming, reducing that mental chatter, really trying to clear those that very active mind. So those are all examples of intention. Feel free to set an intention for yourself as we all meet together down on the mat in an easy seated position. Now, I'm in crisscross applesauce. If this easy seat does not feel so easy to you, feel free to use blocks or pillows, bolsters to lift your knees up a little higher to give yourself some support, or position your hands differently in order to give yourself support, or move your legs out of crisscross applesauce and into a position that feels comfortable for your legs. We're going to begin the class with some breathing. So taking some time to just notice your breath. And then breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. In, out. Now we'll breathe in through our nose and out through our nose, noticing that ocean sound if you create a slight constriction in the back of your throat. And now we'll just try breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and out for 4. In, hold, 2, 3, 4, out. One more time. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out. 2, 3, 4. Anytime you notice your mind wandering or thoughts drifting in that you would like to calm, you can always bring your attention back to your breathing. And we'll use that breath, especially when we feel uncomfortable in a pose or a position. We're going to rock forward, planting your palms on the mat, walking your knees back to center yourself on the mat in a tabletop position. Tabletop is one of those positions that we start in for a lot of different things. In this instance, we'll just focus on having our shoulders directly above our wrists, our palms and all 10 fingers, or however many you have, pressing into your mat. Knees and the tops of your feet are pressed firmly into the mat, and your hips are directly over your knees. Or I should say your knees are directly under your hips. From this position, this tabletop position, we move into a lot of different positions. I'll show cat-cow. So allowing your tummy to dip toward the mat, your back is arching slightly, and your gaze extends either toward the front of the mat or to the front of the room if that's comfortable for your neck. And then tracing a straight line with your nose, arching your spine up toward the sky, extending between your shoulder blades like a scared cat, and then dipping back down again
with your torso, tracing that line with your head. Again, my gaze is toward either the front of my mat or to the front of the room. And then in cat, my gaze could be either toward my knees or toward my belly button. One more time, cow and cat. From here, we're just going to move our hands slightly forward and come into a plank position. For the purposes of this class, I'll be demonstrating plank positions primarily on my knees. You can always take plank on your toes, and if you're ever in a class where the teacher cues for plank and demonstrates it on their toes, just know that you can always take that plank position on your knees. The main effort is to have a long, straight line of energy from your knees up through the crown of your head, or from the bottoms of your feet all the way up through the crown of your head. So with that nice straight position from knee to crown, we're then prepared in a vinyasa flow class. Often you're moving through sun salutations or vinyasa flows, and so often moving from plank position through a chaturanga. When you hear that, it essentially means bending at the elbows and coming down toward your mat, keeping the elbows close to the sides of your body. For this, we're going to come all the way down to the mat, your chest resting on the mat. And in a chaturanga, you're preparing then for an upward pressing position of some kind, often upward dog, but we're also going to demonstrate 3 variations for this. So from this position, your hands are directly under your shoulders. Your pelvis is grounded into the earth. The tops of your feet are also grounded into the earth. And your shoulders peel up off of the mat, using the strength of your upper back to lift you up. Very little to no weight in your hands. You can even test that out by lifting your hands slightly. Crown of the head extends up toward the front of the room, or toward the top of the wall in the front of the room even. Really getting some extension there in the upper body while pressing and grounding in the lower body. Allow that to lower down, resting your right cheek on the mat in preparation for the second variation. That was baby cobra. This is cobra. We're going to come into baby cobra first, peeling that upper body up. Again, initially having very little weight in the hands, and then pressing with the palms, keeping your elbows in toward your sides, keeping the pelvis down on the mat, tops of your feet down on the mat. Upper body is in extension. Crown of the head reaches up toward the sky. And coming back down, resting your left cheek on the mat for a brief rest. Before we come into the third variation, when we do this, you're welcome to stay in either of those other 2 variations, but I'm going to demonstrate upward dog. So when you hear upward dog, the difference is at the hips and knees. You're going to see that the hips are off of the mat. Shoulders are directly above the wrists. Palms and tops of the feet are both what's pressing into the mat. So when somebody says upward dog, you can always be in cobra. And that's a perfectly fine position that will have the same backward arching benefits. And from that position, the next cue is typically downward dog. But for downward dog, which is hips lifted to the sky, an upside down V position, I want to show that there are a couple of really good variations for this, where you could come into puppy dog pose on your knees, and you can modify this in a lot of different ways just by moving the placement of your hands. And so bringing those hands back, even into child's pose. or bringing those hands forward in order to get a little more extension through your front body and your shoulders for a longer puppy dog pose. All of those are variations for downward dog. So when you hear a cue for downward dog, just always know that you can take that on your knees as well. And so we'll meet in puppy dog pose. From here, because we'll be traveling to the front of our mat, we'll tuck our toes coming into a downward dog in order to walk our feet up to the front of the mat for forward fold. In forward fold, you can have your knees bent as much as you need in order for yourself to feel comfortable. Your hands might not be touching the ground, and that's okay. Forward fold is all about getting some of that nice stretch through your back body. And then coming into flat back, as the name would imply, the goal of this is for your back to be flat. Your hands can be wherever you need them to be, either on your knees, on your shins. You could have your hands on blocks or on a nearby table. Whatever is going to work for you to have a nice flat back without feeling like you're going to topple over. And then coming back to forward fold in order to put your hands on the mat, bending your knees as much as you need to for that to happen so that you can step back into your plank position. Again, I'm demonstrating plank on my knees. You're welcome to take that on your toes if you would prefer. And we'll lower from plank down to the mat. This is our chaturanga. So if you are on your toes, you might be moving through your chaturanga directly into upward dog. We're going to move into baby cobra. And then pressing with your palms, raising your hips, and coming back to child's pose or puppy dog pose. Tucking your toes to come into downward dog. We'll all meet there and walking to the front of your mat for a forward fold. Rolling all the way up to mountain pose. Now I'm demonstrating mountain pose right now with my hands extended up toward the sky. If that is a lot for your shoulders, or today is just not the day for that much movement, you can always have your hands at heart center or down at your sides. The main point of mountain pose is a long straight line, rooting through your feet, extending up through the crown of your head to the sky. Nice, strong mountain position. We'll move from mountain pose down onto our mat. So you can either curl into a ball or get down onto the mat in whatever way works best for you. And we'll come back to that easy seated position for a gentle twist. For this twist, we'll just be rotating our upper body to the left, resting our right hand wherever it falls. It might be on your right knee, on your left knee, and your left hand on the mat. Your gaze can either be in front of you or extending out over your left shoulder, wringing out the insides, allowing your breathing to come back to normal, and then coming back to center and twisting to the right. Upper body twists to the right. Your left hand is on either knee. Your right hand is on the mat. Your gaze is either in front of you or over your right shoulder. Coming back to center and lifting your knees in order to ease yourself back into a reclined position. Rolling one vertebra at a time all the way back and extending both legs out for Shavasana. This is your resting pose at the end of each yoga class, giving your body time to soak up all of the benefits from the practice that you just provided. I'll be guiding you through this from a seated position, but you can stay in your reclined position for about 2 minutes is what I'll be guiding you through. Go ahead and relax your forehead. Relax your eyebrows. Allow your eyes to sink into their sockets. Allow your tongue to fall away from the roof of your mouth. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Your stomach falls down toward your spine. Relax your hips. Your arms and your legs are heavy against the earth. Relax your feet. Rest. When you are ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring your hands above your head for a good morning stretch. Rolling over onto your side for a supported fetal position. Your bottom arm is making a cushion for your head. Giving yourself this moment to show yourself appreciation for showing up for this practice today. Pressing with your hand, bringing yourself up to that seated position. Hands at heart center. A community breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. The love and the light in me honors and appreciates the love and the light in each of you. Namaste.